when the people are actually struggling with time, it's not because they're slow readers, because I'm a very slow reader and I still was fine with time.
So my name is Jonathan. I am a practicing anesthesiologist in Israel. Second year of my residency. I realize that when I do fast, then I can get through the questions, but then I'm like, oh, shoot, I missed this part. I knew the answer to this.
So it sounds like you're having a hard time with when there's time, you feel time pressure. And when you feel time pressure, you're making mistakes. Are you actually running out of time, or is it more just like the fear of, oh man, I'm going to run out of time? Like what happens if I run out?
I think it's the fear, because usually when I actually look at the clock, then I see that I'm like, actually, I'm fine. I finished 5 questions and I'm like 6 minutes into it, maybe, 5 even. It's just, kind of, I kind of hear the clicking the clock ticking in the back of my head, kind of.
For sure. So part of it is, I think, honestly, you just have to, like, there's a certain degree, and this is going to maybe sound flippant, but like the more that you do it, the more you'll become kind of desensitized to it. So it's really good that you are doing timed blocks. Let me look. If you were to do timed blocks all day, every day for the next 50 years, do you think that by the 50th year on your last block, you will be less worried about time than you are now, just through exposure? So what that means is that, right, like even just a little bit will help you. Like you can kind of get there by just doing it more. So part of it is like everyone gets nervous when they are doing timed blocks. And it's just like, you just have to learn how to, like, you've got to be okay with throwing a few blocks to like kind of get used to it. And that's just normal. That's part of the process. So that would be one thing. Another thing that you can do is, so you're studying with step 1, is that right?
I'm starting for step 1, and I just today finished my renal block.
Congratulations. That's great. I mean, the fact that you're done, you're essentially knocking on the door of being done with renal, and you're not even like 30 days in is like fantastic. And you're a full-time resident. So like, congratulations. Like really, that's really impressive. Another thing that you can do that can help is do more individual drills on specific things. So what do I mean? Like, the more that I would imagine that like you reading blood pressure and heart rate, even when you're kind of nervous about time pressure, you can still do it pretty well, right? Because you do it all the time.
Right.
Right. But I would imagine that you having to, under timed pressure, read about like a pediatric, I don't know, something that like you don't see in your everyday practice, you're like, wait a minute. And then the nervousness kicks in more. Exposure will help you, right? So the more you're exposed to questions doing timed, like the more that you'll get the jitters out. And the more that you're familiar with the things, the more it will help. And so the way to improve your familiarity, the things that usually take people the most time are like the more skill type things. So what do I mean? So for example, urinalysis panels. In anesthesia, like FENA, you don't really think about FENA and urine sodium all that much, right? So it's like, it probably takes you a little bit of time to sort of think about that. So wouldn't it be great if you just practiced a bunch of like urinalysis panels? And so that when you actually saw the urinalysis panels, like you didn't, like you were like, oh, this is familiar, I can do this, as opposed to like, oh my gosh, this is, I'm so nervous. The other way to do that is do a lot of like individual drills for those specific things. So we call that making the shopping list. And then B, make a lot of PC cards. Because again, the more that you have already made sense of it, you've got 2 choices, right? One of which will make you more nervous, one will make you less nervous. So most people have expectations that are too high of themselves for what it is that they're capable of doing in a novel situation. So they're like, oh man, if I was actually a good test taker, if I was actually good at this, I should be able to just read this and in 90 seconds, put everything together and like make sense of it. Like, no, that's not fair. Like no one can do that. The people that do a good job and the people that are less nervous and, aren't so freaked out by the timer, they've already made sense of as much of it as possible before they walk into their task. And so PC cards are fantastic ways. It's like legally cheating on your test. You can literally put all of the sentences together, make sense of how all they fit, how they all fit together. And then when you are on your test, it's just recognition. You're like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Oh, I've seen that. Like we had a student, she'd studied for step 2 for a while. She ended up scoring quite well. But she like stopped doing her step 1 cards. And then she did it as step 1 NBME and she got an 86%, which is like insanely high. Like no one gets 86% because they normally would have like taken it. But she like hasn't done her Anki cards for a long time. She hasn't like she's not doing any of the right things, right? And yet she still did really well because she had already processed a lot of this information. And so it made sense for her. She's like, oh yeah, I've seen a card like that. Oh, I used to do cards like this. And, right? Does that make sense?
If you're a medical student or a doctor preparing for either the USMLEs or COMLEX or one of your medical board exams, then be sure to sign up for our free 14-step program where we'll walk you through the most efficient ways for you to improve your score in a short period of time. And if you're interested in getting there faster, be sure to book a free call with our team where we'll break down what it is that's holding you back and, if it makes sense, explain how it is that we can help you to get there more efficiently.
I noticed that it took me a while to like really put my finger on like what happens when I'm stressed for time. And I kind of revert back to medical school mode. It's just more natural for me to try to remember things than to try to think through it actually.
And med school, and you're right, most med school exams kind of train the like, oh, this is just like a fact that you need to know. Because for the most part, that's how med school exams are written, right? Like the USMLEs are different, but it would make sense that under that pressure. So yeah, being able to sort of expose yourself to timed questions, I think will help a lot. The other thing that can help with timing too is setting a timer for 2 minutes on every question and never letting yourself go beyond 2 minutes. Because what you'll find is that if you never go beyond 2 minutes, it's rare to struggle with timing in the subjects that they know. So like for you and me, it would be anesthesia. For like something that's anesthesia, we'll like spend like 5 minutes on a question. It's like, oh, I should know this. Like, how do I not know this? Or how can I not get this? Or for me, it was also lung cancer because I did lung cancer research. Like, oh my God. So I would get more questions wrong on lung cancer and I would spend more time on them. And the problem is that on those questions, then it burned a bunch of time for the end of the block. And so the solution to that is, since after 2 minutes, you're probably going to get it wrong and you're definitely going to hurt your future questions, you should just guess and move on. So set a timer for 2 minutes, reset it every single question, and then at 2 minutes, just guess and move on. And if you do those three things, do more timed questions, do more practice and sort of process it beforehand.
Yeah, I really did start utilizing more of the like PC cards. So like any like new topic, I just say, I just also use the chat GPT and I just say, make me a bunch of PC cards on this. And then when I come to the question, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I know this, that this makes a lot of sense to me. I've already seen something like this. So it really is sort of a cheat code. It really does help a lot.
And you're going to love it for step 2. So, because part of this too is like, okay, so how can you study in such a way that it's going to help not just your step 1, but also condense the time that it takes for you to study for step 2 and step 3? Well, getting really good at diagnosis now. Diagnosis makes up like, I don't know, 20% of the test, 30% of step 1. It's not that much. But for step 2, it's like 90% of the test. Because it's almost all either diagnosis or management. And management, you obviously need to know the diagnosis. So like, it's a huge part of the test hinges on your ability to make good diagnoses. And so if you're already practicing that now, it will condense that time that you would need to, to study for step 2 and step 3. Because if you've studied for step 2, step 3 is pretty easy.
No, I actually think that's like my biggest challenge right now. And I feel that I just have to, just do the work, just keep applying it and just, keep showing up day in and day out. And for once, I'm in no stress to do the exam. Like medical school, you're always chasing, the next deadline. And here's like, okay, if I'm ready in half a year, great. If I'm ready in 3 months, even better. And if it takes a little longer, I'm fine with that. And it's just a completely different experience. And like, just want to say again, thank you. I mean, it really did, really feel like it changed my trajectory completely.
If you're putting in the hours, but your knowledge isn't accumulating, it's not about studying more. It's about building a system where nothing you learn gets forgotten. In this video, I break down the exact framework to make that happen and get you on track for a 260 plus in step 2. Click here to watch it next.